everyone, and welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us today for this live stream event. Thank you also for all who joined a little bit earlier today and had to wait another hour for our event to start. We do really appreciate you sticking with us. My name is Alexia, and I am the project and event manager of the Microsoft Reactor Toronto. I will be sharing session resources with you in the chat. But before we begin, I'd like to quickly review two items with you, our code of conduct and event guidelines. First, please take a moment to review our code of conduct. Microsoft Reactor seeks to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. We encourage engagement in the chat, but please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. Secondly, our event guidelines. This session is being recorded and will be available on demand through our Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel in about 24 to 48 hours. And if you've not been on a live stream through YouTube before, please note that you must create an account on YouTube in order to access and interact in the chat. You can set that up now. And if you're unable to use the chat but have questions, feel free to reach out to us on social media or on Meetup. Which brings us to today's session, the virtual sessions of the Global Azure 2022. I'm going to bring in our first speaker today, Asif. Hello there. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. How about you?
Fantastic.
Thank you, Althea, for providing this opportunity. I'm really
Absolutely.
excited about this event.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're very excited to have you here also. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. So, I think I'm going to talk on the topic of building event-driven applications with Azure Functions and Cosmos DB. So, let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes. OBS.
are you able to see my
Fantastic.
screen?
Take it. Yep. Totally
Okay,
cool.
thank you.
Take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Alexia, for providing me this opportunity, and Bruno, and thank you, Global Azure Bootcamp team, for organizing this event. My name is Asif, and I'm a Microsoft MVP in Singapore. Welcome to the session. And today I'm going to talk on the topic of building event-driven apps. We're using Azure Functions and Cosmos DB. We'll start with the very simple use case of building an online shopping cart website for means we want, suppose if you want to, let's say you have a requirement, you want to build an application for a shopping cart, online shopping cart website, and you have a requirement for customer for checkout process, or you want to create the created cart item, means like how the products will be buy, how the data will be changed, how the data will be updated. So means like how we can achieve this by using Azure Cosmos DB and Azure Functions. If you have worked before with Azure Cosmos DB or haven't, this doesn't matter. I will just quickly go through from introduction, and then we'll go into the deep dive how we can build those APIs using Cosmos DB and Azure Functions. Let's say we want to build an API for reading the customer's data for the checkout process, or you want to build a API for the writing the data for shopping carts items to be added or deleted, or you want to capture the data, means if there is any information change or product information change, you want to send those notification, or you want to capture those notification or audit trail in the database, or you want to you have a requirement, you want to make the website available into different regions, means you want to replicate the data without replicating your infrastructure. So how this all features can be achieved with the help of Azure Cosmos DB and Azure Functions, and how you can scale up your applications within a few clicks, and how you can make your data available into different regions within just few clicks, and what role will play Azure Functions and Cosmos DB, how they will work together, we'll see in today's session. So let's start with Azure Cosmos DB. What is the Azure Cosmos DB? Azure Cosmos DB is a multi-model database service provided by Microsoft Azure. It provides a lot of rich features in terms of terms key global distribution. Means like within a few clicks, you can replicate your data into different regions, and you can elastically scale out based on number of requests you are getting. Means like Azure Cosmos DB container will be scale up automatically as the number of requests it will handle. And it provides you low latency with a 99 percentile. It provides also a well-defined consistency model. When we talk about the distributed database, by default, generally we get two consistency model, like a strong consistency and eventual consistency. But Microsoft Azure Cosmos DB provides you 5 level of consistency model. It provides you a different data models to build your projects. Like suppose if you are using key value pair data, so you can build your projects with table API. Or if you are using means like a column family, if you have existing application which is a columnar database, so you can use a Cassandra API. And if you have a requirement to build applications for, suppose like online shopping cart website, you want to build a product catalog, or you want to do some content management, so the SQL API is a better option. Or you have existing database which is relational database like SQL or Oracle or HBase, and you want to migrate those data into means like modern applications, rich applications, so the SQL API is a better option. And suppose if you want to build a web analytics system, so Cassandra API can be a good option. So there is a no right and wrong in that. You can choose the API as per your use case. And suppose you want to build a recommendation engine for your shopping cart website, it's like online shopping website, so Gremlin API can be a better option for you. Uh, so Azure Cosmos DB can have a, means like suppose if you want to use your Azure Cosmos DB, so there are a lot of use cases it can be used. Suppose you are getting data in a large activities like IoT data you want to capture. So then Azure Cosmos DB can be helpful. It is also used in the gaming industry, and for the e-commerce website, which I will show in the demo and yes, today. And there are also some of the Microsoft services which are using Azure Cosmos DB, like Skype, Xbox, Microsoft 365, and Microsoft Azure, and more. So how to start with the Cosmos DB? So you can go on the Microsoft.com, sign up a 30 days free trial, and there is also you can try with Azure Cosmos DB. You can also do a development by using a local emulator that's called. You can just go on the aks.ms.cosmos DB emulator, and you can download from there, and you can build on Azure Cosmos DB emulator in your local machine, and you can try out. And there is also a free tier of 25 GB storage provided by Microsoft Azure. So first initial 25 GB is free for you, so you can use try out for your development activities. And you want to, suppose you want to do a cost estimation for your Azure Cosmos DB, because whenever you are performing the read and writes, how many number of requests you are making on Cosmos DB to perform the read and writes into the Cosmos DB database, that will be charged as a request per unit. Like suppose you are requesting 1 KB document per second, so that will be charged as a 1 RU. And for there is a Cosmos DB capacity calculator. You can try out with cosmos.azure.com capacity calculator, and you will get the estimated cost, how much you will be charged for it. And in Microsoft Azure portal, means like you can go into the database. There is a option for choosing a Azure Cosmos DB, and in one Cosmos DB account, you can have a multiple databases, and in one database, you can have one or more containers. And in one containers, you can have multiple items, like it can be collection, graph, or table API, based on which API you are going to choose. So there are 5 different APIs, like SQL APIs, Cassandra, Mongo, and table and graph. So you can choose any one of them, and it will be the data will be stored in containers in terms of items. So for the collection, it will be stored in terms of documents. For graph, it will be stored in terms of vertex and edges. And for the tables, it will be stored as a row. For each items, there are store procedures, triggers, and user-defined functions. So yeah, that's structure of Cosmos DB. As I earlier mentioned, means like Cosmos DB provides you 5 level of consistency, like a strong, boundless session consistency and eventual models. By default, in the distributed database, we see that strong consistency or eventual, but in Cosmos DB, you can means it's like ensure your consistency replicas based on your like how you can set up a strong. Suppose if you want to do transaction with some financial data and you want to make it like the data should be consistent in all the regions, or so you can choose the strong consistency. And like suppose you want to choose the consistency based on your per session, so you can choose by default session is by default is a session consistency. And now let's come to the Azure functions. So Azure functions are lightweight and serverless functions. So in that you don't need infrastructure. It means like it's completely you don't need to create your own infrastructure. There are already infrastructure is managed by Microsoft Azure, and it's lightweight. You just need to worry about your code and how you write your code, and you don't need to worry about your how it can be scale up, how you can make a request, and how the request will be handled, and how the updates in the infrastructure or all those activities will be done in the backend. You just need to worry about means on your writing the codes, and how means like the number of requests are being requested for make, and provide automated event response is Azure functions provide you automated it's like you can create a triggers, you can create a webhooks for providing automated event response. You can based on the trigger based execution, you can execute some other Azure functions or Azure Cosmos DB triggers. It's a platform agnostic, so you don't need to worry about the it's like platform. It's like you can run on different platforms. On even though you can run on the containers, Docker, and it supports also a different programming language like C Sharp, Java, Python, and it helps to integrate with other Azure services and third party. Like currently, means like you can integrate Azure functions with any of the web services provided by Microsoft Azure, like Cosmos DB and table storage and a lot of other web services for it. So suppose means like Azure functions basically can be helpful for capturing the events from suppose you want to capture the events means like from the change feed, means you want there you can create a multiple functions and means for the different purpose, and all the change feed data means it will be handled by different Azure functions, and it can work parallelly without worrying the like you don't need to worry about the performance, you don't need to worry about the scalability in terms of handling the request. In Microsoft Azure Cosmos DB, we can handle means like the request in 3 ways. Basically, suppose you want to capture the changes, whatever the changes is going to perform on the document, Azure Cosmos DB document. So you can use Azure Cosmos DB trigger. So like suppose there are any changes being made on the Azure Cosmos DB database document. So that changes can be captured with the Azure Cosmos DB trigger, which is called change feed. And if you are going to read the data from the Cosmos DB, so you can use input binding. And suppose you want to write the data means into the Cosmos DB account, so you can use the output binding. So there are different ways for means you can create means like APIs using means Azure Cosmos DB bindings or triggers. So let me show you an example like how we can do that. Suppose If you want to capture the data from this Azure, like a change feed from Azure Cosmos DB, so what we can do is we can create a trigger, Azure Cosmos DB trigger, and it will execute the Azure functions to perform. Like suppose you want to capture, like in online shopping cart website, if any customer is buying any product and he added the product into the means cart, and then later on he removed from the product from cart, or he made the payment from the cart. So all these changes you want to capture uh, from, so that will be, that changes will be captured by using change feed. And with the help of Azure functions, like suppose you want to check out, so with the help of Azure functions, what we can do is we can write Azure functions to perform the payment, or we can write Azure functions for writing the checkout process. Those all changes will be triggered by Azure Cosmos DB trigger, and it will help to trigger the Azure functions to perform the another activity. If you want to suppose user can be means like get the data from Cosmos DB. Suppose you want to check out from the website, and you want to log out from the website. So for log out, you want to get the user information, like you want to get the customer data first, and or you want to retrieve the information. So you can use the input binding for read operations. And and you suppose you want to means like add the items into the cart, or you want to mm, create the items, or for that, for write operations, you can use the output binding. Let's go more or deep into the change feed, how exactly the change feed feature works in Azure Cosmos DB. Change feed features is nothing but Azure Cosmos DB tickets. So it helps to trigger a notification or call a API when the item is inserted or updated. So if there is any new item updated or inserted, like customer is going to buy some product, or it's like do some payments or anything, so that information will be captured by Azure Cosmos DB change feature. And you can use to trigger any Azure functions for computing some other task, or you can to maybe perform some payment, or you want to save the data into some different Azure storage or some other place. And you can also perform Azure IoT stream analytics to perform some different operations, like you want to collect uh, IoT data, and from that data you want to filter the data and process the data into using stream analytics. You can also do with the using change feed feature. You can also means helps to save the items into Azure blob storage. So in going forward in demo, I will show you how exactly with the help of different means like Azure functions, we will create a means like a change Azure Cosmos DB trigger, and Azure Cosmos DB output and input binding for saving the data. So so in general behavior, how exactly we will see the whole scenario is like, suppose this is the website, and there is a process for customer for you know the checkout process. So we, in this case, we want to read the data from the customer Cosmos DB database. So we will use the input binding, and suppose the customer is going to add some going to buy the product. So with that, we, because there will be some database changes, or there will be some documents will be added or updated. So those kind of information we can help to trigger with that DB trigger, which is a Cosmos DB chain feature. And that information we will save as a output binding, because with the help of output binding function. So let's see all these in means demo. I'm going to create a Cosmos DB database. So if you are on Microsoft you can go into the database, and there is also a Cosmos DB. So you can just go and create a Cosmos DB database. You can choose APIs based on your requirement. Suppose you want to use an API for building a product catalog, you can use a SQL API. As I earlier mentioned, if you want to use you have existing MongoDB application, you can use a Mongo API, Cassandra API. So I'm going to use a core SQL API. Let me create a like demo. I'm going to use Australia Central Region, or I can also choose. Let me choose the Australia East. There is a mode for like capacity mode. So suppose there is a mode for provision mode, throughput, or serverless. If you are using for the production purpose or for the development or higher working load, so you can choose the provision throughput. And if you are using for less workload, so you can choose for the serverless capacity mode. So it depends on based on your usage. For because it's not my first account, so that's why I'm not getting the free tier is disabled for me. But if you are using the cost, you are creating a first account in Azure Cosmos DB. So for first 25 GB storage will be free, and you can apply for the free tier account. This is the global distribution. Is suppose you want to make your website available into different regions. Like currently I am going to create in Australia east region, but I want to make the website available in US or some other region. So and I want to perform the multi-region writes or reads. We can enable these features from here, or make it availability zone in different regions. We can enable those features. You can also create a private endpoint. Suppose you want to create Azure Cosmos DB in your own VPN network, so you can choose a private endpoint. But for me, I'm going to choose for all the networks. Yeah. You can take the backup of the database based on your you can take the database backup for means like the intervals for in terms of hours, or you want to back up your retentions for how many hours for days. You can choose the option from here. And backup storage redundancy, you want to replicate your means like a backup storage into different regions, so you can choose a geo redundant. If you just don't want, you can choose the locally redundant backup storage. So basically what I'm going to do is we are going to create a three APIs. One is for retrieving the customer information, means like suppose for the checkout process. And second, we are going to create means like suppose if you want customer want to buy some product, so he want to uh, create an API for adding those information. So means like for customer information, or means like product information, so how we can build that. And third APIs means like whatever the changes we are going to make in customer information or product information, we want to capture those changes using change feed feature, which will be means like Cosmos DB trigger will capture and see how it all works. Until then, let's go and quickly create Azure Cosmos DB function. No, sorry. Demo function reactor. You can use runtime stack. Like suppose you want, if you are familiar with Node.js or Python, so you can choose a runtime stack as per your Means like I'm going to choose the .NET, and you can also publish into Docker container, or it's like you can publish directly by the code. And going to choose the Australia East. Let's review and create quickly. So my database is ready. Now we can, in because in this database, in the Azure Cosmos DB, we can create as many in the account. We can create as many database we want, and in database containers, we can create in one database we can have multiple containers, so like web store database, and database throughput auto scale. If you want, you can choose the manual, but it is recommended to choose auto scale because as suppose if you have a, it's like you got the spike, it's like on the shopping cart website, suddenly you got spike of some sale, or so the database container will be automatically scaled. uh, Database max request per unit is means like how many, means like how many in KB you are requesting in per second, so that will be charged based on your request per unit. So currently it's showing for me is 35 to 350 based on the regions, because I have chosen one region only. And container, I am going to create a customer. My database name is the store, and the partition key, suppose you want to save the data in, it's like currently I'm going to save and retrieve the customer information, so that's why I have created one container. But suppose in case you in later on you want to store some payment information, so you can create a different container name with the payment, and with partition key will be for each container it is recommended to have one partition key, so you can choose a different partition key. Partition key helps to retrieve the information from a particular storage. So let's go and quickly create. Our function is also ready. So let's go and create a functions. So now what we need to do is, as per our requirement, we have to, means for getting the customer information, we need to create an input binding for read operations. And to capture all the changes into the database, we need to create a one DB trigger. And for saving, like cart is being added, item is being added, or cart is being created, all these information we need to create an output binding. So let's create a functions like we can create a function from the portal itself, and there is also option for creating in Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. In VS Code, you need to install the extension for it's like Azure extension for Azure Functions, and required for I'm going to develop from the portal because it's helpful. So I'm going to create a HTTP trigger, and for change feed, I'm going to create a Azure Cosmos DB trigger, because Azure Cosmos DB trigger will be helpful for getting all the informations, like if there is any database document change, or to capture all the changes in the document. So first I'm going to create a trigger, HTTP trigger, for input and output binding. So for get customers, This is for the read operations because I want to create one input binding for read operations. So let's go and create a get customer. And now let's create another one for output binding. That will be for HTTP based trigger for create customer or create products. And third, we'll create a uh, Azure Cosmos DB trigger to capture all those changes in the document. Sorry. Yes. Uh, it's asking database name because for capturing all the changes, you need to provide which database and which container you want to capture the changes. Like suppose I'm going to create for the customer means collection, and you want to also capture the changes in means like payment collection, or you want to change means like for some different department. So you can create means like function for different collections by using Azure Cosmos DB trigger. And collection names will be for the leases, means like all these informations, like if there is any document change, all these informations will be saved in leases. Like it will be help to monitor the changes. So you can choose if the lease is does not exist, you can create there's no DB connection, so let's create a new DB connection for demo reactor. For this create customers, I have already for written the code. Let me just quickly paste and then explain what exactly I'm doing here. This is for the get customer. Create customer is mean like we it's output binding, so we need to write do the write operations into the Cosmos DB database. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save customer name, address, and like informations. You can make it total anything. You can just. So what I'm going to read the body, means like read the body of Cosmos DB, means like read the information, and then I'm going to deserialize the information into JSON format, and then I'm going to create a means like output documents and save into the database. So let's go and see quickly and see, because I'm going to this is the output binding, so I'm going to create a output. For output binding, suppose you want to save the data into Cosmos DB, or you can also choose option like blob. You want to save the data into blob storage, event hubs, or queue. Based on your requirement, you can choose. I'm going to choose Azure Cosmos DB, and my output parameter was output document. My database name was web store, and my collection name was customers. So let's go and quickly create. So So we can see here our database is created, and there's also created a list collection for capturing all those information of changes. Currently I have no data, so let me go and create some customer. We can choose address, all the properties like address and say address. So the output is okay. Let's go and see here. Let's refresh. So we can see one customer is created, the name, customer, address, and total. And this is a unique ID for each document we'll have. And this is our partition key also. So now let's go and create for the retrieving the customer. So this is the output binding, means like we are writing data into the database. Now let's go and get the customer details. For getting the customer details, I have a simple Azure function. So same, we are getting the customer information from the customer list. So this is the input binding. So we need to create a input binding integration. Let's go and create the input binding. So this was the output, and now for the input binding, we need to create the connection for Azure Cosmos DB to read the data from Azure Cosmos DB. So we have a parameter name input document, and our database name was web store. Collection name, we want to retrieve the data from customer. So let's quickly add it. So let's go and this is the get request. So you can see here, I have got already the one record which I have created earlier. For so we can read the data by using like we actually both the APIs for creating the customer or adding the product information or getting the product information. We don't need to create infrastructure. We don't need to. We just need to write a small code functions to get all those information, and these pub APIs are available. So you can just get the public URL and can use this API from, it's like you can access the API from different applications. Now let's suppose I want to make any changes into the database data. Let's go and create a few more customers, and then we will capture those changes using Azure change feed feature. Sorry, Azure Cosmos DB change feed feature. So let's go quickly and create a few more customers. Like well, these two. So let's refresh. Okay. Now we got another customer. I want to capture any changes in these two customers. So if any changes I'm making in customer information using change feed feature. So in this function, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the input, and if there is any document modified, so what is the input count and information with input ID. So just go and run. So yeah, it is run successfully. Let's go and modify the information. I want to add now the new feature called employee ID. For you, you don't need to worry about Azure Cosmos because it's a schema free. So you don't need to worry about if you're adding any new property or any changes. So you can just add it, and it will. So I have made the changes just now, and you can see all those changes are captured using Azure Cosmos DB trigger change feature. Now let's go and make it name change of Melbourne 2. So you can see here the document is modified, and the first comment document was this. Document ID is this. So we can capture the changes if we are modifying any changes into the database document. We can capture those changes using Azure Cosmos DB trigger. So Cosmos DB triggers are very helpful and very useful feature in terms of capturing the data into real time. Suppose uh, change feed like Cosmos DB trigger or change feed feature. In that, we can capture the data in different ways, like using Azure Functions. There is also change feed feature library processor library. So if you want to capture the data in bulk, then the processor library will be helpful because there is a change, there is a lease and monitoring capability. So means like all your data will be monitored and it will be filtered, uh, means like as per your requirement, and means like filters, and then it will be processed into the database. So like suppose if you are getting IoT data and we want to filter specific information, so we can use the change feature processor library. And if you want to perform some particular specific functions, so we can use Azure Functions for it. And you can also write custom code using .NET, but it is not recommended. Yeah, so we have seen basically how Cosmos DB means trigger can be helpful in capturing the data in Cosmos DB. Means like when we are adding any new document or updating the document. And we have seen like how we can create the APIs using Cosmos DB and Azure Functions. We have seen how we can ingest and write and capture the data in Cosmos DB using Cosmos DB trigger or input or output binding feature. And there is also a feature replicate the data. So let me show you how we can replicate this data. Suppose currently our data is available only in Australia East region. Now I have a requirement. I want to replicate this data into different regions. Like I want to replicate. I don't have an infrastructure ready, but I want to replicate the data into different regions because some of my users are accessing the website from North Europe, or they are accessing the website from Southeast East Asia. So there is a actually distinction. Suppose if you are using currently configured throughput is 4000, this update is not possible because you need to increase to 8000 RU. So for mm, so what we can do is we can, let me go quickly. To the log. What's this for cost management? So we can update here from the cost management to 8,000, and then only it will help to replicate the data into different region. So there are some limitations in terms of like request per unit RU, and then only the data will be replicated into regions. So suppose now I want to replicate the data into East Asia. Okay, still it is not updated. Take some time to update because it's still updating. Within few clicks, you can replicate your data to different regions, and it helps to provide you low latency. So it doesn't matter from wherever your users are, and it's like you can add the regions or remove the regions within few clicks, and your data will be available into different regions. So now you can see I have still it is taking. So now I want to make it let's configure the region. And default consistency level will be session consistency. So suppose if you are using means sorry, there is some problem. By default there is a session consistency. So if you want to make it boundless or eventual consistency, you can change from here. And let me see if my data is replicated or not. Yeah, it's still updating. It takes some times to replicate your data into different regions. So if you want to make your website available in different regions, you can replicate your data by using global distribution, globally replicate your data by global distribution feature. Yeah. So that's it for today, and there are a few important links if you are interested in to know that how you can calculate uh, the cost of your Cosmos DB. So there is a pricing calculator, you can use that, and there is also for SQL API query. It's because SQL API provides Cosmos DB SQL API. You can see the how you can query the data. So there is a SQL query getting started, and you can also download the Cosmos DB emulator from here. And there is also a data migration tool provided by Microsoft Azure. So if you are interested to like if you want to migrate your data like SQL Server data to Microsoft Azure Cosmos DB, so you can use this tool. If you have any questions, you can ask.
So that's amazing, Asif. Thank you very much. Let me take a look at the screens. You have a lot of people. John, Matti, Franca, everybody saying thanks, hello, and you have John saying here that he's looking for more working on Azure. He's going for a certification. So this kind of stuff is super useful. So thanks a lot. And hey, I know it's super late in your time zone, so double thanks for joining
Thank you.
and helping with this. And looking forward to the next one.
Yeah. Thank you, John. Thank you,
Thanks,
Bruno.
Asif. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Thanks.
Alicia, for
And
session.
for the rest of the audience, the next session is going to start in around 10 minutes. So if you can stay online, get the coffee, get some water, get some drinks, and we will be back in 10 minutes. Thanks. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are going to start a new session right now. Let me add a new guest, my good friend, Ivana. Hello, Ivana. How are you? You are on mute. Sorry.
I'm okay. I'm muted, but I'm okay. I was testing something to see if I could play around with HoloLens live, but I didn't have the chance to test. So if everything turns out fine, I will try to test what we will see today in HoloLens.
Super cool, super cool. So, hey, I'm looking forward for this one. Every time that you are with us, I learn something new, and this is also super fun. So let me add your stream there. There you are. That's your desktop, and it's all yours. Alexia, and myself will be in the back helping. Again, thank you very much.
Awesome.
Let's see. You have a lot of stuff here: holograms, TypeScript, Babylon JS. Rock the stage.
Yes, a lot. We will try to explain everything from scratch and go pretty slow so people can understand. So if any questions, just let me know through the comments and I will try to reply to them.
Perfect. Okay. See you later.
Awesome. See you later. Okay, guys. So I do have a lot of things prepared for you, but there is a thing that, of course, you want to see holograms and see amazing things. And before jumping in, I will give you a URL for you to. Okay, I don't have the possibility to comment, but Bruno, if you can help me with that, people can jump in there. And what will happen? You can run it from your mobile device. Open that browser, open that URL in your browser, and it will ask to permission for the microphone. That, and then once you click on permission, say start game, and a bunch of different balls will fall from the sky, and you'll need to try to smash them. So let me see. I will move around and change the entire demo today and see if I can show you what are you guys going to see. 1 second, because I need to connect my cell phone. Okay, there it goes. Connected to Ivana. Okay. So this is my cell phone you're seeing right now. That's my mom. That's my grandma. And this is the game that you will see, okay? That's the URLs that I sent you. You will see that at the bottom, you will have these glasses that will let you get into augmented reality. And once you get there, you will ask for allow to the microphone and just say the quote start game. So you will see something like this. Start game. Great. So those balls, and if you click on your screen, you will be able to just smash the balls. Wow. Okay, it's not an easy game, but at least I think you get the point, you get the idea. This is an augmented reality game, and also it has speech because you guys didn't get any button, you didn't press anything. The application or the website just listened to what you were saying. Okay, and that's just a small demo of what it can be done with TypeScript, with Babylon JS, and cognitive services. Okay, so let's go take a look at. I pretty know if you already know me. I look like the Simpsons character. You have probably seen me in another video talking about Unity. And in this opportunity, I'm going to talk about Babylon JS. So Babylon JS, as it says on the screen, is a real 3D engine using JavaScript library. Yes, guys, JavaScript for displaying 3D graphics in a web browser via HTML5. Now, it can be used for both virtual reality and augmented reality. Now, Ivana, you just showed that you were wearing HoloLens. Yes, and HoloLens is known by being mixed reality, not augmented reality and not virtual reality. But since we are now talking that this is not an application that is going to be installed on a device, but it's going to be displayed on a browser. So that's why when you use it through a device like HoloLens, it gets into or a virtual reality or an augmented reality. Now, what happens with the touch? Because in HoloLens you have the 3D touch, HoloLens has the potential to see your hands. So it will detect exactly as if you were touching the screen, okay? So we are talking about virtual reality and augmented reality now. And the other thing that we are going to be using, let me see if I can find my, yes, we talk about devices. Okay, something important about devices, virtual reality. By creating WebXR applications, it will be easy for you to jump into your customer that have Oculus, which is, of course, much more cheaper than HoloLens. Don't say anyone I said that, but HoloLens has a lot of power. But it also, as you saw, you can use it through a device, and you can accomplish this 3D engine, so you can see anything on your mobile device. And we are going to be using, of course, also TypeScript, which is a programming language developed and maintained by Microsoft. Is basically a way to easily use JavaScript, okay? Okay, so enough about this. If you guys were or already developed something for extended reality, probably you use something like Unity or like Unreal, okay? And in here we have an entire universe about the different tools and different things that you can use. And today, instead of just jumping into the code and everything, I want to give you some tips because it was not easy for me to understand exactly how Babylon worked, exactly how to move from Unity to Babylon and understand how all the different possibility that JavaScript could give to this kind of development. So one of the things that I suggest you to have if you are developing, I'm going to paste those links on the chat so the people can help me with that, is this. This is a sandbox that will let you know if you have your model prepared in order to work with it from Babylon, okay? So sometimes when you download free models from the web, probably they are broken or their materials are broken. That's so difficult to understand that actually that is the problem and not your code. So I always suggest first jump into this and go ahead. I'm going to take a look at some models I have in here. Have BB8. I saw El Gato Lupa, who's a friend of mine, really huge Star Wars fans. So I'm putting this because of you. And you will see that in here you will have the model that you have downloaded from the internet. It will be displayed over here. It can take a while. And the other thing that you can see in here is also the different materials, the different nodes, and how the model is built, okay? As I told you guys, this can take a while. We will not, oh, there it is. It's so gorgeous, BB8. Okay, so, and you can see this is the model that you have, you are working with, okay? And in here you can see there is an option that says display the inspector. And here you have all the different information about the model by itself. And you can export it to GLB. You have the nodes and how it is built. You will see that in here it has the antenna. If we take this off, we can take away the body, we can take away the head. So this is exactly how you would see this model if you were working with it on 3D Studio Max or any other Blender or any other 3D modeling tool, right? You have also the materials and you have the texture on how this is built. So in here it says nothing is in red, which means that the model is perfect to be used in another development. And now there's these things. You can start thinking about developing everything on Visual Studio Code, which is an amazing tool for working with Babylon.js. But if you are the type of person that comes from Unity like me, there is something that is called, one second, let me look for it, Babylon.js editor. Let me go ahead and put it over here. And this is, once it loads, this is like a Unity, guys. You will see that I already have a project opened over there. Don't take a look at this. These are only minor errors about some models that I'm working on. So you can see that in here is really similar to Unity, okay? You have in here your scene, you have in here your model. You can see that the model is over here. You can grab your model and let's say you want to rotate it. It can take a while. You want to rotate the model. You can also understand how the materials are being used in here. You have all the materials in here. You have, if you click one material, you have all the different properties about that material. And the amazing thing now is that this is created, if you go to File, you will see that this is created like a project, like a Unity project. But there is one thing. It has the option to be opened on Visual Studio Code. Okay, and that's a huge difference because in Unity you could pick one of the editors for your code. You guys know that Unity works with .NET as code behind, and you can open up both Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. But in this example that I'm going to show you what happens, I'm going to open this up in Visual Studio Code. I didn't touch anything. This is actually only one project that only has a logo on it. This is exactly how the editor works. And you can see that in here, it created an entire project that you can use. But this is the thing. This is a TypeScript project, right? So we already have everything already developed for us to build a scene. Let's say you are creating a game. And you come over here and create the entire scene, put all the logos, all the characters, or all the things that are going to interact with your game. And you can just open up, I'm not going to say this, you are just going to open up that on Visual Studio Code. And once you open it on Visual Studio Code, you have TypeScript, okay? And you can put all the power that TypeScript has. Let me close it up. I should want to answer, yes. You have all the power from TypeScript in order to use with that. But what do you have in here? You have the scene. And this is something important if you are just starting to jump from Unity to TypeScript to Babylon.js, because sometimes it's easier just to be able to export the scene and just start developing and working on that instead of understanding the entire library that we are working with. And in this, you can see that if we go ahead and see what this is using Webpack in order to create our site. And if you go in here, I'm going to put open in live server. This is going to open up the scene that we had, okay? There it is, the logo. So I didn't touch anything. Just grab my project from Babylon.js editor, open it up on Visual Studio Code, and that's it. We jumped into the scene that we built. Of course, this doesn't have anything as code behind right now. But since it's much more difficult to understand what is happening in here, if you guys are just getting and jumping into Babylon.js, I will start going through different projects that I've prepared for you to understand everything from scratch. Let me go ahead and open up this model, this project. This is a project I created from Visual Studio Code. I didn't use Babylon editor in here, okay? And I have mostly exactly the same that the editor creates, which is I have Webpack configured in order to build my website. I have TypeScript installed. In this example, I have the latest version of all of them. There is also, if you don't want to understand exactly how this is built, you can take a look at Microsoft documentation, and you can create this project from a Git repository that they have, that you just can clone that repository and start building whatever you want. It has all the configuration, everything already set in order for you to work in this situation. I have everything updated, so I did like a twist. And now what do we have? Now it's important for you to understand what are we using in order to work with this small project. I'm still not working with AI. So I'm still not working with artificial intelligence. I'm still not touching anything about cognitive services because I want to explain how everything starts working from scratch. So in here I'm importing Babylon JS libraries. I'm importing the loaders, which is part of the library that will help us load models. And in here I'm calling this environment. So this environment is going to create something that I'm going to go from scratch with you guys. This is going to create did you see that in the other project I have like a floor, I have like a skybox, like something similar to the sky in which I placed the model? Well, this is everything created from scratch. So what do I have in here? Let's see, as basics, part of what you need to do is, first of all, you need to render all the things that you're building into a canvas. Where is that canvas? That canvas is going to be placed in this HTML. Remember, this is an HTML page. So this is the main HTML that we have. And in here I have the canvas, which is the one that I'm calling from TypeScript. And I have a script that this is going to be the one that is going to be loaded when everything is compiled, okay? So now that I'm calling that render canvas, I'm going to put all the engine, all the power of Babylon.js inside of that canvas. So as you can see here now, I'm creating a Babylon engine, and I'm assigning that Babylon engine to that canvas. Once I have that, let's go ahead and create our scene. So what do we have in our scene? I'm creating a new scene from Babylon, and in here you can see that I'm calling my environment. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in our environment. So in our environments, there are some things that you need to make sure that they are in your scene, which is a camera, a light, and maybe a background, as you can see here, okay? In here, I'm creating a camera. So Babylon.js has different kinds of camera. It has an arc rotate camera, which is the kind of camera that rotates in one point. So you say, okay, this is, for example, you're displaying this as a 3D hologram. So the camera will be always looking at this element, okay? Then we have other type of camera. You need to decide which one is the one that is useful for the site that you're building. And in here, you need to also tell about the different, the placement, where you want to place it, the radius of the camera you want to take a look at, the vector, the position, where do you want to start. And then you attach that camera to the canvas that we have, okay? Then I'm creating a light. The same thing, we have different lights available in Babylon.js. In my case, I'm selecting a hemispheric light because this is wider. So I'm going to be sure that all in my scene is going to have light. You can also select the specific place where you want to grab the light from. And then I'm calling another method inside my code, which is import meshes. So what I'm doing in import meshes, I'm going to grab a model, a 3D model. So this is the 3D model, the logo that you saw on the other part of the scene. If I have also, let me see, I have BB8 in here. So it's the same one that I uploaded. I have a couple of different models in here. And I'm going to import that model, okay? I'm going to import that model. I'm going to select a pivot. So I'm going to say, okay, this is a place where I want you to start loading. And this is just a behavior that I want, okay, start loading with a fade. So it's going to make like a nice appearance. And finally, after we imported our mesh, we need to create our background. Now, what do we have in our background? In this background, I'm creating a skybox, okay? And I'm going to assign to that skybox some material. In this opportunity, this is going to have 6 different materials, and those materials you can see are images. Okay, now for you to understand, let me go ahead and open the source that I have in here. So this is the logo that you will see. You can open up. This is the logo, okay? And these are the materials, the images that I'm loading. So if you try to see, I'm loading, this is a floor, okay? This is a roof, okay? This is opening, loading, okay? This is a roof. This is a wall. This is another wall. So these are parts of the company, of the place where I work, guys. Today I'm home, but that's part of the company I work right now. And I'm creating like a box, and I'm placing inside the box the 3D logo, and I'm placing the light and the camera on top of that. So once I create my entire background, I return to my index over here, and I'm going to create an immersive art experience. Now, with Babylon.js, we said that we can create a virtual reality experience and that we could create also augmented reality. In here, what you're seeing is, did you see when you loaded the page that I just sent you, that you have like a glass at the bottom of the website? Well, that's telling us that there is another reality available for us to use instead of just the browser in your PC. And in here, I'm telling the browser that it's going to be an augmented reality experience. Okay. So if in the case that the one that you have is also an augmented reality experience. But if I don't have this available, I will only be able to see like a virtual reality experience, and I won't be able to place that hologram on top of my reality. Okay. So this is the code that you need to have in order to enable the augmented reality experience. And that's it. Everything in here, I'm assigning the skybox that I'm creating in my environment, and I'm closing the entire experience. So I have it open in here. What's the result of this? And as you can see, I created like a room. I'm moving around the room because do you remember I created the camera that was pointed at only one place? So I placed exactly in that point, I put it the logo, and you can turn around and take a look at everything, and you can look down and look back. And that's the entire code that is creating this. Now, if I move away from this, that's what you have. So you have a box. You can see the box, and that's placed, let's say that's placed in the metaverse, okay? I wanted to use that word today, but that's how I imagine the metaverse, like having a lot of rooms and being able to jump from one place to another. So this is what you get if you go away in virtual reality, because I didn't press this one, okay? It's just virtual reality. Now, I still have to fix one thing in here, which is the size of the logo. And here the logo is pretty big. So if I click on this, I will see something really weird, which is, I can explain that. So there is this plugin that you can install on your browser if you don't have a device like HoloLens, Oculus, or if you don't want to test on your cell phone the entire time. This is a plugin you can install, and if you go to more tools and developer tools, it will add this one in here. And this one will let you simulate a device. So in here, I'm seeing the simulation. So if I click on this, I will see it as augmented reality because I'm running a Samsung Galaxy S8. But let's see, I want to see how it works on Oculus Quest. So if I click now in here, I will see what a person running Oculus will see this website. Okay, hope that was clear. I think there are no questions. Okay, so if I click on here, you will see that you have a cell phone. You can move around, okay? And this is like if it was your house, if you don't want to use, again, your own cell phone, what happens instance, now if you use your, as I told you guys, this logo is too big, I will try to change the size of the logo. 1 second. So we have, I will need to edit. I can do it, guys, because I need to edit the model. But if you had this running, you will see the 3D, the 3XM logo on your reality, not with the walls and the floor and the roof. So you will see the 3DXM logo on top of your reality. And if you grab your cell phone and move away, you will be able to turn around and look at the logo from down there, from up, and see and go inside the logo. You will be able to do that because augmented reality gives us that power through our device. Okay, so by just enabling, you will be able to do that. Okay, think about playing Doom my office using. Okay, nice joke. Great. So now, this is awesome, this is perfect, but I didn't do anything with augmented reality and we are running out of time. So I have 2 more things to show you. One is this one. This is a simple, as you can see, it doesn't have that much code. And I created this because I wanted to exactly show you where do you put AI and how do you enable the cognitive services. So I'm only adding the package that is available. In this case, I'm using the speech SDK. So I'm adding that package and I'm now importing the things that I'm going to use in my code. This is a website, so I'm able to use all the different packages that are available. Now I can use it directly on my Bible.js game. So now what I do have in here, you can see that this is exactly the same that we have in the other place, except for the environment is going to be something different. But in here, I'm going to delete this key, guys, so don't copy that. So here I'm adding my key and I'm adding the location of my Azure Cognitive Services that I already created on Azure Cloud, in the portal, right? So now that I have this key and the location of the service, I'm working exactly as I always work with cognitive services, okay? In fact, in here, as you can see, I'm detecting that it's going to be talking, the person is going to be talking to my website. This is, once you put this on your code, it's going to request the user to allow the microphone. And then it's going to recognize the phrase. And if it is working, it's going to load the experience and it's going to load a model, okay? That's it. That's the entire thing you need to do in order to work with cognitive services on top of your application. So if I go ahead, I think this one was not, let me go ahead and close everything, this one. And let me take a look at where I'm loading this, because I usually change, this is important. Okay, 1 second. It's loading, it can take a while. I'm opening this up. And remember the word that where we were detecting was show me, right? Once it's finished, okay, it's successfully. Now, let me go in here. Show me. There it is. So that's an avatar. Okay, that's the one that I'm loading here. It's not DB8, it's not 3XM, it's another one. In this case, this is exactly the size that I want to use it. So if I put that on Azure and I put it as a web page and you guys open it and you place show me, you will see that avatar on top of your reality. Okay, so now let's think how cool this would be if you were a fashion designer and you want people to see your design and you have everything on 3D and people can see it from all over the world. So there are tons of possibilities of displaying your product as if it was a hologram. Okay, great. So finally, let's go ahead and take a look at the game that we saw, the link that I just showed you. And this Yo, we are live. This happens when you are live. This is the one. Awesome. So what's the difference with the other one and between the other one and this one? Simply, the only thing that I'm doing in here, I'm going to be starting a game. Instead of just displaying a hologram, in here I'm creating particles in a random way, in different ways. And I'm also assigning some image to that sphere that I'm creating in a random way. And also I'm giving the possibility to crash the different spheres that are loading from the sky. Okay, that's it. That's the only thing that's different from the other code that I just showed you. As you can see, you have everything is much more similar than you were expecting, right? So once you see that you understand one part of the code, it is easy to see the rest of them. And nothing more from my end. I don't know if there are any questions. I think there are not. Guys, Bruno, are you over there? It took me less time. Okay, so Gato, this says, so can we speech service, can we use speech service to navigate into the AR model? Yes, you can use it as I just showed you. In our case, we use it to load the game. But let's say if you want to, let's say you put like those arrows that you have when you put a gun. I don't know, how do you call it in English, but like a pointer or something like that on the screen of your phone. And let's say you move your phone around the spheres and you put hit, and once it detects hit, it throws a ball to the spheres. So crosshair, okay. That would be a nice way to interact with something. And the same way, if we use, in this case, I use the speech service, but you can use any other cognitive services, and you can apply machine learning to everything that we are seeing. So imagine that you also create an avatar or something that replies to you as a bot. You can connect to Azure, to the bot service in order to have an interaction, and that's it. I mean, the potential that you have over here is amazing. Okay, any other questions? Hello, are you up there? Yeah, okay. I think there are no more questions.
Yes, I don't see any more questions. You have people saying thanks here for the answers, and have a couple of people also saying it at the beginning. This was super cool. I really didn't know what you are going to show, and
You did it?
I love it. This is amazing.
Yes, it can be. It's difficult to prepare also a session that you can. Let me go to the slide that has my contact. It's not easy to explain this for me because when you explain it for Unity, it's not the same that explaining for using it with Babylon.js and TypeScript. It's much more easier. So I'm pretty sure that people watching need to know about code, need to know about JavaScript before jumping into this. And it's easier for me to explain Unity because it's more like a drag and drop that you can, but in here it's to imagine what is happening. Imagine where the point when the camera is pointed. Imagining that what we are coding is actually a world, a 3D world. It's I don't know. I hope it was clear.
No, I like it. I get it, and I also started to realize that even I am not a big fan of JavaScript, TypeScript a little better, a little more. This is super useful. You don't need to deploy anything. You can get ready to go and jump there in very, very fast. Of course, it can be very complicated quickly, but hey, you have the power there, and hey, the browsers and everything, and Babylon.js is amazing. I love it.
It is.
I really, really like it. And also, as you mentioned, if on top of this we add cognitive services or any AI service to help us navigation, to help us describe A, B's, and C's, this is an amazing solution. I love it. I really, really like it.
Yes, because at least with Unity, we were there was a limitation that we needed the different libraries or the packages that Microsoft made available to be used from Unity with .NET. But in here, that limitation does not exist. So and also the power that you have by creating 3D models, being able to create animation and everything, and just displaying everything through a browser, it's huge. It's
Yes,
huge.
yes. And also, as you mentioned, it's the excuse to talk about the metaverse. We need to say metaverse at least twice a day or twice a week. For me, it's twice a week.
Yes, that's a new trend.
So, hey, thanks. Let's give everybody back some time. Thanks, Ivana. Thanks everyone who participated. It's a pleasure as always. Please, if you have a couple of seconds, this is the link of our survey. If you can go there and fill the survey, it's a super fast one. We want to see how we can do better events, how we can improve. What topic do you want to see in the future? And also feel free to follow us in our Twitter account, in our YouTube account, and we are going to be soon in other places. So thanks, Ivana. Thanks, everyone. See you next one, and have a great rest of the Friday. Goodbye.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.